Welcome. I'm Ada Kay, your deaf courtroom commentator, breaking down the gripping courtroom drama, providing ASL interpretation when possible, while making justice accessible to everyone. Grab your favorite cup of Java and let's dive in.
So make sure we get this. Both of us. Testing. Go ahead and speak.
Check, 2, 3.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Guess what? Joe Smo's in the house.
Hi, everybody.
All right, we are going to have to do a sound check on here. So, Maud, I'm going to need you to kind of help me gauge the sound because we're sharing a microphone. So that's what we're doing. Good to see both of you. I know, Tinkaton. Iced coffee for all. Is that one of your people?
Moonlight View?
Moonlight View?
Oh, yeah.
Hi. Hi, Moonlight View. Oh my gosh, everybody. Hello. We have had a crazy day, y'all. Is the sound okay? Can y'all let me know? Because we've had to finagle a few things and Joe's having to put something in his ear. Oh, here we go. Let me get the chats up here so you can possibly see them when they start coming up. Well, I do really want to welcome Joe. Thank you so much for coming. He has been on the road for what, 2 weeks now?
I don't even know. I can't even keep track anymore.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, he was in the courtroom when the sentencing of the Lori Daybell occurred. Woo-hoo! And then he's on his way home, and I finagled him. I bribed him with a good meal to come and stop here in Kerrville. And so we have done a lot today. One of the things we have done today is we, first of all, met up, and then we took the drive from the very start of the flood all the way down to Center Point. So that took about an hour and a half?
Something
like that. It was a long drive. And so we got a lot of video. He's got a lot of video and pictures. We're going to talk about some of that. And then we're also going to be talking about Lori Daybell and his experience and all that kind of stuff. So, yay! Oh, you can't wait to see. I know. He's got this producer and him who's going to get together and do some good stuff. So maybe I can say hi when they do that. One thing I want to share with everybody is I do live here in Kerrville. I know I do the same thing.
My head's crooked.
Or your head.
Right.
Or your head. But I live in Kerrville, and I did cover the flood the first 2 days, but it is too emotionally difficult for me to do so. Partially because as a first responder, I did participate in some of the reunification process and work with some of the families. So for me, it's just difficult. And when we were out today, I found out that somebody I know's son died, and he was the first person found, and I didn't realize it. So it's still very difficult for me, but I'm so glad, Joe, you are covering it, and thank you so very much.
Well, thank you for hosting me, and thank you for spending the day together and showing me like parts of it that I definitely wouldn't have been able to see and or understand, or both, if I was out here by myself.
We still have one more place to go when we're done.
Yes,
here.
we do.
But that is going to be something I kind of need to do in private. We'll take pictures and videos and stuff, but it was a wonderful, wonderful day, but a very sad day. How do I put it? Surreal. But the interesting thing is I've been out there about 6-7 times. I don't know exactly the numbers, but I was out there on the 5th of December, and I was able to, as a first responder, I was out past Hunt, for most of you know, Camp Mystic. And I have a friend who has a house across from the river's end that got destroyed. Joe got to meet the owner and got to speak to somebody. And I do have to cue that. Thank you very much. I just reminded myself. We have a guy who we met. Now, what was his job again? Do you remember?
He at first he said he was a retired engineer, and you could tell from the way that he spoke technically, factually, that he definitely is an engineer. But he said an unemployed engineer by choice. So retired. He said retired, then unemployed by choice.
Yeah, and so I could have sworn. Oh, I sent it to myself. Well, it didn't go through, so I'll send it. I'll do it again while we're talking. But he did some explanations on things that I think it's above my pay grade, but you understand. You at least you understand it. It was a little more than, and with my hearing, it makes it more difficult for me to understand. I sent this to you.
You
I
did
think.
not.
I did not. Okay.
No.
It's preparing, and then once it does, I'll send it. So, oh my gosh, we have mostly your people here tonight.
Hey, everybody, welcome in.
You can see them all right here. Deborah, Salty, Pammy, Carolina, Carrie. Oh my gosh, y'all, Janelle, do me a favor. I know you're on his live, but I'm going to ask you to go click it like on my live if you don't mind. That will help me a lot. My people, go to his channel and click on his channel. So let's get it going. Hello, Miss Jennifer King. Hello, love. I know this name. I think I've just seen them on your channel. So, oh my gosh. Well, do you want to start off with the Lori Daybell while I try and get this stuff to do for the other?
We can do that. Well,
which do you want to start off with?
Let's get her out of the way.
We're going to get her out of the way.
Let's not play all of those clips.
This is 13 minutes here. So this is the judge.
Yeah. And let's play him at like 1.25 speed.
Yep. 1.25 speed.
Yep.
Okay. Let me get it on stage. The thing about us being on stage is it's going to cut you off, so you may need to lean a little bit more. Really? Yeah, he doesn't YouTube watch.
So your channel didn't follow Lori Daybell quite as closely, and so your people might have some questions for me, but this is one of the videos that I don't mind watching again. And this is Judge Boreski giving Lori her comeuppance at the end of sentencing. Well, right when he is sentencing her.
And by the way, my phone is open for calls if you guys have specific questions. That some questions may not be able to be answered. All right, here we go.
This day and age where truth seems to matter little to our talking heads on the news and to our politicians, I'm proud that this trial court, and through our jury trials, we draw on the collective wisdom of jurors to determine the truth. As I said in my jury instructions to the jury, it is their job to determine the truth. The defendant spent several minutes talking about statistics and being prevented from presenting her side, and that is not the truth. Maricopa County is a court of innovation. We virtually screened hundreds of jurors, and we kicked off jurors from service that had ever even heard of Lori Vallow. So when she says that she couldn't get a fair trial in Maricopa County, that is not the truth. Your cases involved 24 separate jurors who deliberated and reached verdicts on these two cases. They represent a broad cross-section of society, which means these two verdicts represent the decisions of our community, not the view of a single person, not the view of a single prosecutor, and not the view of a judge. The collective decision-making of juries helps to reduce individual biases and errors in judgment. 12 jurors in the first case unanimously agreed that proof beyond a reasonable doubt established you conspired to kill Charles Vallow. And 12 separate jurors in the second case, again with no prior knowledge of you whatsoever, no knowledge of your notoriety, unanimously agreed you conspired to have Brandon Boudreaux killed. Many people have asked why the state bothered to extradite you and bring you to Arizona, given the sentences that you received in Idaho. Trials are not just about seeking accountability or punishment from those who have committed crimes, but to give the victims of crimes justice and acknowledgement of the impact of being a victim. Justice demands not only recognition of the pain inflicted, but a firm response that upholds the dignity of every victim harmed by the actions of someone who has shown blatant disregard for humanity. You've left a wake of destruction stretching from Louisiana, across Texas, Arizona, up to Idaho and back again. Anytime a person victimizes a single individual, the ripple effects of their actions extend far beyond the immediate harm. And you have not victimized just a single victim, but many. You've shattered lives, you've undermined trust, you've sowed fear in the hearts of many. I can't imagine what Brandon and his family went through for those months, hiding, Charles's family wondering who's next. Is someone coming for them? Jenny said a lot of the things I was already going to say to you, Brandon. I'll just touch on a couple of them. I had wondered during the trial whether you suffer from survivor's guilt, and she confirmed that for me today. I also remember looking at you in the back of the courtroom trial, and just, you have this look about you of a wounded individual. I hope you can heal someday. To Charles's family, I just wanted to share with you that I'm sorry for your loss. Charles seemed like a great all-around guy. One of the exhibits that was put up during the first trial, I noticed something. He and I share the same birthday. So I'll remember him on my birthday.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to pause that right
Yep.
there. Wow. His birthday. I cried. I mean, it was all I could do not to cry when I heard that, because that is, wow, to be a judge and have a case like this and the victim died on your birthday.
No, had the same birthday.
I mean,
as
had the
his-
same birthdays.
Yeah.
Once again, I'm reading. So what was the courtroom? I mean, you can see the reactions of people in the courtroom. What were the reactions?
During Judge Boreski's,
Especially at that point when he says that.
everybody was quiet and everybody was paying very close attention to what he had to say. I mean, it was almost, reverent isn't the right word, but I mean, so the families were seated over in the jury box to his left, which is why he's looking over there to his left. And I have no doubt that he touched them with his words. I mean, because they were very sincere. You could tell that he was being very sincere.
Yeah, I thought he was a really good judge and put up with so much. I mean, I told Joe, I said, I would have slapped her a few times at least. I would have, I mean, I would not have had the patience. No patience. Oh, Joe Schmo.
Zach's in the
Look,
house.
Zach's in the house. My 83rd favorite chatter.
Oh no, I've dropped in the rankings.
I'm not even in the ranking, so you're doing good.
I was up in the 30s at one point in time. I've dropped.
Oh man, why did you drop?
I don't know.
And he always says, hey, Ada K, what do you say? I used to sing it to him all the time. So we'll keep going with this, but that
I've
was a
seen
very
many cases in
hard-
my career where someone faces a long prison sentence for what amounted to one split-second bad decision. You are not that person. The amount of contemplation, calculation, planning, manipulation that went into these crimes is unparalleled in my career. Your powers of manipulation are profoundly destructive, one that undermines trust, distorts truth, and can erode the very foundations of healthy relationships and society. The impact of your manipulation has been devastating, insidious, and far-reaching, and perhaps still unknown. One can't help but wonder if Alex died as a result of the extraordinary burdens that you placed upon him. No one will ever know. You preyed on the vulnerability of those around you, JJ, Tylee, Alex, Melanie, others. And today I heard about Colby. You specialized in exploiting the empathy and goodwill of others, turning those virtues into tools of control and harm. I think that over time, as a result of being subjected to your manipulation, those people lost their sense of self and their
Pause for a
ability to
second.
distinguish truth from falsehood.
And by the way, we've been getting flash flood warnings here in Kerrville for the last couple of hours.
bombarded.
And what was supposed to be a little brief, short storm turned into a little longer one with a little more rain. The Guadalupe River already left its original main channel.
Flooded over the banks.
Right. But they're sending us a whole lot of warnings, a whole lot more than they got on the morning of July 4th.
Well, I actually got all of them. I was sitting here until after 4:30 in the
So
morning.
who didn't get them then?
A lot of people in Hunt and out past Kerrville. First of all, you have almost no cell coverage in a large part of that area. The cell coverage is horrific. It used to be better when Sprint was here. When T-Mobile took over, they cut down after a year. Then the contracts were done. They got rid of some of the towers, and so Zach, when am I going to be on the radar, Zach? Come on now. So anyway, so part of the problem is a lot of people didn't have the cell coverage. 2, there were people who even admitted to turning off the alerts on their phones. And 3, the other thing is that, so if you live in Austin and at midnight or whatever, your phone gets pinged, and then later on in the day, you drive to Kerrville and you're here overnight, that morning may not get to you because the ping thinks you're in Austin. It's going to ping where you are at a specific time of day. That was it. And number 4, some of them just weren't sent. I think it was just a whole ball of wax issues with that. What are your thoughts?
It's got to be. I mean, well, we can talk about it more later, but it's there are a whole lot of bad things that came together all at one time.
When they talk about a perfect storm, and not in a good way. Let's get back.
In the face of such profound damage, a long prison sentence is not merely a punishment. It is a necessary
You lie like a dog, Zach, but I'll take your $1.99.
affirmation that our society values justice, protection, and the sanctity of human life. You just referenced a Bible verse or a verse recently about the prisoners shall go free. That is not a literal verse.
I gave kudos and a clap to the judge on this. The prisoners shall go free. And I was so glad that he threw Bible back at her. I was all like, oh, he threw it.
That is a verse
He wasn't
about
afraid
people
to.
that accept Jesus can be in prison and they will go free when they die and go to heaven. But it will take an act of God for you to go free. In short, you should never be released from prison. Eventually, the camera that you seek out so much, the media requests, will lessen over time and you'll fade into obscurity. The state has requested that I find additional aggravation. The court does find that in CR 2021-001704, the offense was committed in the expectation that you would receive pecuniary gain. In the CR 2022-001242 case, the court finds the emotional harm suffered by Brandon and his family to be immeasurable. The sentences on those aggravating factors alone will be justified. The state also asked to find an aggravating factor of a prior felony conviction within 10 years of this offense. However, I'm hesitant to do that just because of the way that statute reads, that the offense had to be committed before the date of the offense on these 2 crimes, which it wasn't. So the court will decline to find that aggravating factor. However, as I said, the substantial amount of harm to the victims and the victim's family, emotional, financial, and otherwise, are immeasurable and justifies consecutive sentences. Ms. Vallow, what's your position on Ms. Woodcock's restitution request of $8,949.52?
I just received it from my advisory council, and I'd like to get a chance to look at it. So I know that the restitution.
We're done.
Thank you, Libby. Very generous of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Libby. You were so awesome.
Appreciate that support. And to answer one of your people's questions from earlier, yes, this is the trial that I covered. I was at every pre-trial hearing except for 2, and I was at every day of trial, including jury selection and sentencing final arguments. The first trial I covered as a member of the public, and the second trial I was able to cover as a member of the media.
What was the, how do I put this? What was the worst part of trial for you? What was it that you just left going?
Like the actual trial itself, honestly, the worst part of it, there were two horrible parts. One of them was when Kay Woodcock, who is Charles's sister, was testifying in the first trial. And she was testifying about how Lori sent back Charles's ashes by FedEx to her shop in Lake Charles, Louisiana, to her business, to her place of business. Kay was on a flight to Phoenix to come get his remains. And Lori couldn't even wait that long to get rid of them. She shipped them by FedEx to her office. So that was one day where I was so livid when I heard that I had a hard time controlling my emotions. And the letter from JJ was really tough. I understand that it was therapeutic and it was needed and it was so touching, but man, it was tough.
Yeah, we struggled with that when she read the letter from JJ. I just, yeah, it was a tearjerker, and I'm already on motion's edge. So yeah, that was a tearjerker. Most rewarding part of this, if you can find anything.
The most rewarding part of covering it in general was getting to know the family members that I got to meet and got to know, especially Kresha and Megan, and we've got to know each other a little more. I didn't even actually officially meet Kay. I mean, I saw her and she saw me many times, and we nodded in passing a couple of times. But also getting to know JJ through Kresha, because she brought JJ to life for me in his ABC video on the charter bus and a couple of other things that just, like, he was a beautiful, vibrant boy, and he would have been 13 now. And just the fact that Lori and Charles and Alex just threw him away and did horrible things to him entirely were just, it's bittersweet.
Just so you know, you've been wearing a bracelet.
Yep.
Was this a justice for JJ, Tylee and JJ?
And Charles.
And Charles. I couldn't see the back of it.
Yeah. I got that during the first trial. Kay brought a bunch of them and gave a bunch of them to Trace on the case. I think I saw Trace in here earlier. But I put it on that day and it has not come off since that day at all.
Well, as someone who's looking on the outside in, you're a lot more closer in, and you have a lot more background and understanding of the LDS Church, and you talked about that. I think that a lot of people, how do I put this? I think it's difficult for a lot of people to wrap their mind around the religious part of Lori Daybell's banter and what she has to say. You want to touch on that?
Yeah. There are different philosophies that you don't have to subscribe to one or the other. But one it was her relationship with Chad, and then that evolving into them taking the lives of Charles, JJ, Tylee, and Tammy together, conspiring to do that and putting it through, was based on getting money for Charles's life insurance policy. The attempt on Brandon's life was for his life insurance policy. JJ and Tylee were for their Social Security benefits, because they got benefits from their father. One of them got benefits for their father passing. So Joe Ryan passed, and that was was that Tyler? I think that was Tylee's biological dad. So when
Right.
he passed, she got Social Security death benefits for him for the rest of her life. And then she thought once Charles passed that it wasn't going to be declared murder. And so she was going to get his death benefits and the children's death benefits from being his children, his adopted children, for the rest of their lives. So people say it was about the money, and then their disgusting behavior, having an affair with each other while they were both still married. So some say it was about the power, money, and sex.
No, she called herself what did she call her? Not a saint, but I don't know the verbiage. But it's almost like she put her at a higher level. What was that? What is that?
Translated. Translated being.
Okay. How can you be that and then stoop so low as to have an affair?
Good question.
How can you have people underneath you and be guiding and wanting to lead people and do all this and create your own little cult?
Right.
And I have a trash can right there behind
There
me.
we go.
Create your own little cult and then be sinning while you're doing it. I'm like,
well, they excused it, they rationalized it like they did everything else, and part of that was their religion offshoot, where they declared people zombies, they declared them light and dark, and then when you're dark and you have a zombie, when you have the spirit of Ned inhabiting your body, like she claimed Charles did, then Charles's spirit is no longer there, and so it's okay for them to unalive him. And I mean, this is my theory. I think she believes her crap. I think she believes her load of crap, her religious load of crap. I mean, and I was never more convinced of it than after she gave her final statement in court. Like that was a
zinger.
It is out there. It was more out there, but she was so passionate about it, and she was like she was a prophetess standing on the hill delivering a sermon.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of I felt like I was in church again. So because it had absolutely nothing to do with the LDS church, and that's what people have to remember.
Had nothing to do with the LDS church. They were LDS church members, and she was going to the Mormon temple every single day. She claimed to have the angel Moroni bestow the priesthood upon her, and it was a higher priesthood than the Melchizedek priesthood. So I wouldn't say it had nothing to do with the LDS church. I don't necessarily agree with that. And Kresha and I have had many, many talks about that. And being former LDS, some of the doctrine the LDS members believe, some of us would find out there. And that's when I realized that was one of the main factors why I left, because I could not subscribe to some of those.
Yeah. Well, I think that as with any kind of religious group that they can go astray. And that can happen, but this woman didn't just go. This woman has gone way and above and beyond what I would call normal. And well, they did have her declared incompetent for a while, did they not?
Yes, in Idaho, she was declared incompetent. She had to spend something like 10 months in a mental health institution of some kind until she was competent to stand trial in that trial. And then for this one, she was evaluated by 2 different doctors back the fall of 24, and both doctors found her competent to stand trial. And then Judge Bresky found her able to represent herself.
Joshua, I want to know what man Lori is getting direction from at the temple.
I was getting direction from. So there was a man that some people say was her angel Moroni, and may have been the man that bestowed the priesthood upon her, and his name was Jason Mao, and he was a former Phoenix police officer, and he is a current seminary teacher at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Currently teaches teenage kids about Mormon doctrine.
Okay.
He also wrote books about the warrior ethos within the Mormon Church and about the warrior parts of the Book of Mormon.
No, that's what I wanted to say. What is it? Okay. Well, it's kind of weird. Well, not weird, but I'm gonna find it interesting to see how she reacts to being out of the media once all this dies down. How she's going to assimilate herself into that prison life. But is it true that she's already started ministering and creating a following in Idaho before they shipped her down here?
I have no idea. She does have copies, multiple copies of that book, Visions of Glory, with her in jail/prison. And that book, Visions of Glory, is one of the foundations of the spin-off of the Mormon Church, that led to this farther off spin-off. But there was a whole group called Preparing the People. Oh, hold on. I lost my ear. I'll get it back in a second.
Yeah, that's fine.
But there was a spin-off group that was all LDS called Preparing the People, and studying the book Visions of Glory and using that as an excuse for them to spin off even further.
You need the red one that's red on that.
Red
side.
is right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. So will we ever know? Not really. What she's doing in prison after all this, I thought it was very hush-hush goes up in Utah. Didn't she get in trouble and get her iPad and all that taken away?
Yep.
If you're okay not listening right now,
Yep.
that's fine.
Yep.
You can just hold it there, I guess, when we do this. So what happened with that? Share that.
So we saw Arizona Family, the gal from Arizona Family did, I think Brianna is her name, did 3 interviews with Lori. The first 2 were in person, and then Chad did an in-person interview with Lori. And we found out during sentencing, and then we saw the day of sentencing, I think, or the day before, the 3rd interview with Arizona Family with Brianna. And that had to be done remotely. Like Lori, it couldn't be in person because Lori was just coming off of her punishment for taking Chad Daybell's M&Ms. And she didn't actually take them, but not Chad's, Nate's, gosh darn it. Nate brought in M&Ms because she told him, you need to bring me something. So he brought her M&Ms, and I think he put them down on the table during the interview. And then after the interview, her people is what I'm told, and I don't know what her people means. Maybe her handlers in the prison or in the jail, Maricopa County jail, tried to give them to her. And that was considered contraband. So her punishment for contraband was having her tablet taken away, and it was just given back to her like a couple of days before sentencing. And so then she had her interview with Arizona Family, all because of Nate's M&Ms.
Were the M&Ms worth it in prison?
I don't. She never got them.
She never got them. Yeah. We had some questions. By the phone line's open, but we'll take questions here as well. How do we meet?
Through Megan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, through Megan.
Through Megan.
We were both on Megan's channel at the same time, weren't we?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was like, come on my channel, please. I don't have a lot of guests, and I love having guests. So there we go. Question. Does she really believe?
I believe she believes it.
I do too.
100% I believe she believes her, whatever she believes.
Okay, Ada K lives in Kerrville, and Joe is out there visiting because Mystic Camp Flood. He's kind of driving home.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a detour.
I'm sorry.
No, I was going to do it. Whether or not you were going to host me and feed me dinner or not, I was going to be here.
But I'm not sure how they met. Yeah. And it's the other thing is we won't say your sister's name, but tell them what your sister did.
So she responded within a week of the initial event with her canine search and rescue team. Two of her canines are HRD, so that's human remains detection. One of them is retired. He's an older guy like me, so he doesn't get around as well, and there was a lot of physical exertion involved in being in the Texas sun and being in the heat and being around the piles of debris. And that's actually where they were looking the most for victims. So she was here. She was here for almost 3 weeks after she got here. And her canine were out searching every day practically.
Yeah, she was, and I met her, and she's a lovely person. And I lost my sensei, and his pet. He used to sleep under. She used to sleep under there, or be right here. And my service dog died in March, and I hadn't really put my hands on another dog, and so her dogs were just so lovely, and I just got to get that doggy touch. It was great. It was awesome. A lovely woman, and I thank you so much. I don't know if you're going to watch this or not, but thank you so much for coming and doing what you did for our community. It takes a special person. Nate said it was her attorney.
Oh, her co-counsel, and maybe her investigator, Jeff White.
Yeah, that was an interesting combination. Well, anyone to translate. I don't know anything about this. Great picture, by the way.
Yeah, Jeff is very knowledgeable about the case. Very knowledgeable.
Well, thank you for coming in, Jeff. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. We've got a lot of people joining in, and we appreciate all the comments. Contraband is a real problem. Yeah, in any. I had these little clear rubber bands on my braid. I went into a prison, and I had this, and they got mad because it got past security. You can't have any kind of rubber band.
So what were you going to prison for?
I was visiting.
Okay. Just to be clear.
I've been in a lot of prisons, but I've not been a resident. I have not been a resident at all. Thank you, Jesus. Anyway, we're going to play this quick interview, and we are going to, I shouldn't have done what I just did. I shouldn't have done that. Let me get it on stage.
Yes, so this is Nancy Jo Hancock, and she was a witness that was never supposed to be a witness in the first trial. And the first trial was the one for conspiracy to unalive Charles. And she went on a date with him the night before. So they met on an LDS dating app.
She just was like, hey, I'll have dinner.
Right.
Had no idea she was going to be facing the murderess.
Well, she lived here in the East Valley area, and he was in Houston.
Wait, she lives in Texas? This one?
Oh no, in East Valley, Phoenix.
Phoenix, okay.
East Valley of Phoenix, yes. Sorry, I'm mentally still there sometimes.
That's okay.
Yeah, she lived in East Valley, Phoenix, and he lived in Houston, and he was flying in that day so he could hang out with JJ and get to visit with JJ. He was going to take him to school the next morning. And they had been they met on the dating app, and they had been texting and calling hundreds of times for many, many hours in just the week leading up to that. So they instantly hit it off. They instantly had a chemistry, and they instantly liked each other. They went out to dinner that night, and she got called in as a prosecution witness.
I loved the testimony on this. And I love the way she responded, but let's look at the interview.
Really did not want to testify.
So real quick, she wouldn't give an interview while the trial was going on. Like Lauren from Hidden True Crime, Lauren Matthias, tried to get an interview. She went to her house and they hung out together, wouldn't give an interview. So I thought she wasn't going to give an interview. Then she gave Nate and Lauren interviews after sentencing.
Y'all, on both of our channels, will you hit the subscribe? We're both about the same in number. You surpassed me. Congratulations. You're close to 4,000. Yay. This is hard. This is a lot of hard work. And we appreciate your time and your investment in viewing our channels and supporting us. So thank you so very much. There was a comment that I pinned before we go into that. Let's see that. Well, that's interesting. I don't know that Chad Daybell stole things out of the V's of Glory. I don't know what that is.
Visions of Glory book.
Okay, especially how the spirits visited him his bedroom window at night.
Yeah, I don't know. That's getting a little too deep into it
Yeah, I don't know either.
for me to conjecture intelligently.
Well, when you start, I mean, I won't. Yeah, I won't go on the spirit boat. I won't go on the spirit
did not
boat.
want to testify. I didn't really even tell anyone I was testifying. Some of my best friends didn't even know I was testifying. Literally hardly anyone knew I was testifying. I thought I would go to court. I thought I would testify. I thought it would be a few minutes, and I thought I would go home and it would be done. Trina said, I need 2 things from you, Nancy Joe. I need you to testify that he told you that he had changed the beneficiary of his life insurance policy, which is a weird thing to tell someone on a date, but that he did tell me that. It was wrapped up in the story of his concern for JJ.
Right.
And that he was moving forward with divorce. That was why he told me that. And she said, I feel like you can humanize him in a way that someone has no skin in the game. You're not a family member trying to humanize him. And she's like, that's what I need from you. And I'm like, okay, I can do that.
Didn't you say too that you had, when he talked about changing the beneficiary, didn't you tell Charles, like, yeah, you need to leave her?
Well, I told him he needed to tell her.
That's right. Tell her. Yes.
Yeah, I told him, I said, why don't you tell her that you changed the beneficiary of your life insurance so that you don't have to worry? One of the jury questions was Charles in fear for his safety or something like that? That was the jury question for me.
To you, yeah.
Yes. And I started to elaborate. Yes, that's why he had changed the beneficiary of his life insurance, because he feared that monetary reason was why he would be killed, so that they could get that life insurance. And so I was telling him, well, wouldn't that take away the reason for them to kill you if she knew she wasn't getting the life insurance? And yeah, at dinner I said, why don't you tell her?
Yeah. So Trina says, I need you to testify about these 2 things or get these 2 points across. Did she prep you at all that here's Lori Vallow Daybell, who will probably ask you questions?
Well, I knew that Lori was going to ask me questions, but no, I've read a lot of the comments online, and it's really funny because Lori did ask me about witness prep. And so in the comments, people are like, oh, she had her assistant prep her for hours. I really had no witness prep. I met with her for that time. We had another phone call that didn't last very long. She reminded me just a few court rules and reminded me again that I could only testify about what I knew from then, the night of Charles, and what happened the next day when I called him, not about what I learned happened later. That's what I could testify to.
Right.
That's the witness prep I had.
And what were your thoughts walking into the courtroom knowing that Lori Daybell, who you've never met, is going to question you? Were you nervous at all?
I was very nervous until she started out questioning me, saying, do you date married men? And I thought, you have got to be kidding me.
My sister would have said, bitch, please.
Really would love to have said, I would love to have said, well, I don't kill my husband and their wife and my kids and bury them in my new husband's backyard. But yes, I did go to dinner with a man that's divorced wasn't final. That's what I would love to have said, but I didn't want to cause a mistrial, so I didn't say that. But when she started that line of questioning with me, my nervousness turned to just, I will not look away from you. I will look you straight in your eyes, and you will not. Let's dance. I mean, it was just like, you got to be kidding me. That's what you're going to say to me when everyone watching this trial knows what you've done?
You couldn't watch because you were a witness, but she treated you different than any other witness.
Well, I did go back and watch.
Oh, you did go back and watch
Yes.
that. Did you find that too? I mean, it was very different.
You know what? When I'm first there, I'm sitting there and she's questioning me, and I'm thinking, Judge, Trina, help a sister out. Objection, relevance. Come on, help me out. And
she knows her words.
Realized, oh, I get it. They see that I can hold my own, and they see she is making an utter fool of herself.
Let her go.
and they're going to let her make a fool out of herself so the jury can see. And that's what she did. I mean, I should have been such an insignificant witness. She shouldn't have even had any questions for me. And instead, she acted like a jealous 7th grader who had broken up with her boyfriend and gotten a new boyfriend, but she didn't want her boyfriend to have another girlfriend. Yes, I saw that she questioned me differently. And I thought it showed her evil, ugly side to the jury like nothing else had.
I think what took your testimony from here to here is the 3 words, don't flatter yourself. I imagine you hadn't planned that.
Heavens no.
You didn't know she was going to ask that.
No.
Did that just come to your mind? To walk me through that infamous moment.
I didn't have to think about it. It just, when she said, you spent your whole night talking about me, I was like, oh, don't flatter yourself. No.
I think Boreski even kind of smiled a little bit.
You know, I went back to watch that and I like zoomed in on his face. I don't know how he kept a straight face through testimony, but boy, he kept a straight face. But one question she did ask, he went like this, like that. Like,
and Trina let her ask. It wasn't an objection.
Yeah.
I think there was, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Lori asked you about text messages? Like, what did the text messages continue? And Trina objected and it was sustained. Do you want to answer that question?
Sure, I'd love to answer that question. I think a lot of people I've seen online, oh, they were sexy text, you know, the after dinner. The text, want to know what the texts after dinner were? I apologized to him if I was too hard on him because, and I told him, I know I'm not like most women. Most women are going to just say exactly what you want to hear. I'm not that way. I said to him, no one is going to want to have a serious relationship with you until you disconnect from Lori. Yes, you need to pay her alimony. I understand all that, but you have too much of a connection. And if she wants a divorce, she should see what real life is. Sure, she needs to take care of JJ, but she can work while JJ's in school. And so I sent a text and I said, hey, I apologize if I was too hard on you. You know, I'm not the girl that just says what you want to hear. And I still know what his response was to this day. And I think it's just so charming. And he said, you used velvet gloves. Very Southern, charming.
Right.
And then we texted a little bit more just about just odds and ends. I didn't hold his hand. I didn't kiss him. There was nothing inappropriate in any way. So sorry to disappoint everyone that wanted sexy texts. There were no sexy texts.
Lori kind of insinuated that. It seemed that you're this, floozy out there,
No.
with Charles.
She's classy.
So
sorry to disappoint, Lori. No sexy.
No. What do you remember most about that testimony?
Feeling like that I had done Charles proud. And that I had represented the way that he was feeling in that last week.
Is she getting choked up?
And that I had done him proud, that he would be proud of the way that I testified and the way that I represented how he felt about Kay and how he felt about JJ. Yeah.
What I remember is you saying how excited he was to see JJ the next day.
He was so excited to see. Literally, the only thing that I could relate it to was like a kid on Christmas morning. Anyone that would have been with Charles would have taken second place to his love that he had for JJ. It really was a uniquely special.
Wow.
Yeah. I hadn't watched that before. That was my first time.
Yeah, let's get that off the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to look at the back end. I don't want to ever see that hairstyle with the little thing on top. I can just, yeah, we can do, we're done. You can just hang them up there.
Did you ever get that video that you took today to?
It won't. I'm going to see if maybe, I don't know.
So we ran into that engineer today and he had some very interesting thoughts about the flood. He talked a little bit about cloud seeding and he talked a little bit about the force of the water pressing down all of the debris and all of the mud.
No, I don't want to delete the video.
No, no, you don't.
Like, ah,
Oops.
no. Okay, here's the problem though. Let me get up here. We're going to have to come off screen for you to see this. Okay? Because the way the program works. So that is camera 3. Let's see if it will play and if you can hear it. Let me make sure I got the sound on. Somebody let me know if you got sound.
I'm not hearing it.
You should have sound. See, that's what I mean. I can't get sound through here. Never mind. Not going to work. Dang it. Can you kind of synopsis? Can you kind of?
Well,
What we'll do is we'll get it and we'll both air it. You can air it on your show, and if you invite me as a guest, we'll air it on your
I
show.
might be able to do that, especially since you're the one that took the initiative to get your phone out of the car and ask him to record it before I did. I mean, I'm just sitting there having like an engineer's conversation with him, and you're
I'm
like,
wait, I want to get this.
so his engineer's conversation was about pounds per square inch. So I'm going to summarize it and the forces that press down the soil. So the Guadalupe River is a stone channel river. Before this flood was a stone channel river. Now it is a mud bottom river in a lot of places. A lot of the bed has been moved. There are places where there is no water, where it's bone dry. There are places where water pools now, where it didn't pool before. And there are places where it's operating kind of as normal. But he was talking about how all that debris and the mud gets pushed down. It's because of the weight of the water. So he said 27 vertical inches of water is 1 pound per square inch of downward pressure on whatever's underneath it. So it's 27 inches, a little more than 2 feet. So if we just round it to 2 feet, some of the floodwaters were 67 feet deep.
Measured and not guessing. Measured.
Like after the flood, people going out with tape measures from the ground level to the high water mark was 67 feet. So that's about 30 psi, 30 pounds per square inch of downward pressure on the bottom of the bed on whatever was underneath that water. So that was a.
And then as it came down, what was under it moved out. Is that what he was saying? So
I couldn't quite follow that. I'm going to have to go back and listen
Yeah.
to the video again.
So basically, what was pushing down was crushing and crumbling, and then the currents was pushing it forward. You've got pressure here, but then you've got the thrust behind it. And what people don't realize, and I hope this helped you visually. Remember that one spot that I said that took the curve? The water was literally had no resistance. You had water coming in from multiple places and convened in the main part of the river, if I understand it. Correct me if I'm wrong. And when it did that, there was no resistance for a certain period of time. So it built up a lot of speed really quick. And then it takes a turn, and where it took a turn, you could see the limestone and the rock was as white and pristine, where everything else around it was naturally worn and dark. But it was, there were about 80% of our drive in that area, we were underwater at any given time.
Yeah.
It was.
And the other thing that he talked about that was a really interesting phenomenon with this storm, and we talked about it in relation to cloud seeding and how NOAA admitted to cloud seeding that tropical storm that came up from Mexico 2 days before this flood event.
People stop making. It was only a few feet deep, 10 to 15 feet. Y'all, we were there. You could see. I mean, the first time I went, and mind you, this is almost a month to the day later. We're just 2 days shy of a month. that he drove through, and it was cleaned up compared to what it originally was. But what hasn't been cleaned up is all of the debris 40, 50 feet up. Clothing, sheets, shirts, mattresses, parts of lawn chairs. I mean, you name it. It's up in
Right.
the trees.
And the videos that I took today, I'm going to work on compiling a summary video, because I took like 400 videos today, because I would stop and start and stop and start. So we got to put them all together. And a lot of those, you can see where the debris is and where the high water mark was in the trees. And 10 to 15 feet is nowhere near the depth of that water.
Camp Mystics Dam. There's a dam there. 10, 15 feet, there is still a work truck that is upside down with a full-size dumpster full of gravel. And it was at least 30 feet or more higher than that depth. That's 50 feet. There's no way. So I'm going to let you talk about what you experienced, what you saw, what you kind of, whatever you want to share.
It was eye-opening. I think one of the things that was eye-opening to me before I ever got to this area. So for me, hill country started like 175 miles west of here. So you can see the terrain change from the big mountainous type of hills to the smaller round hills that become hill country where we're at right now. And so driving on I-10 coming in here, you could see the sheer stone walls where they had to cut out the hills to put the interstate in. And I was thinking back when we first talked about the amount of rainfall that could be absorbed, and I heard somebody say something about there being clay here and the clay getting packed down. If there's clay here, there's a foot of clay on top of stone, on top of stone, on top of stone. And we saw today how fast that rainwater comes off of there, fills the streets, and goes straight down to the river.
See, unexpectedly, we were supposed to have what's called like a little spring shower type rain. A few minutes of downpour. It downpoured, in 15 minutes? Not even 15 minutes. The streets were flooded. I think that kind of surprised you how quickly everything flooded around here. And that is one thing. Now, I'm not negating anything about I don't want to get into about the sirens and all the warning stuff, but we get flood warnings in the rainy time weekly, sometimes daily. We get rain warning. We get warnings. And you saw how quickly things that even there at the park where the river goes under that bridge, how that flooded over the banks within that little bit of rain. Yeah. Somebody asked a question, and I'm going to post it, and I'm going to say this. I'm a 501c3. So all of my super chats right now are donated to the flood victims. I actually hand deliver the money. I don't, it goes straight through, and I also can give you a tax exempt if you wish. So, but better than nothing. Oh, Frankie, it's not better than nothing. It's wonderful. Thank you so much. Every little penny helps. And in the devastation, I mean, talk about the houses, talk about all of that experience, because I did point out a couple of houses where multiple people had passed away in.
Yeah, and just driving alongside the road and knowing how far away the river was from those houses, you would never know without warning that a catastrophic flood was coming in and would reach people in those houses. Like it just driving on the road next to these houses felt like you were up away from the river enough that you probably would be fine. Just logically, hey, I'm looking at that house. How did people lose their lives to the flood in that house? And the other thing that the engineer, what was his name, Mark?
Mm-hmm. I think
that he talked about was both of those rivers, the South Fork and the North Fork of the Guadalupe, both having catastrophic events happen at the exact same time. And the ones from the South Fork wiping out Camp Mystic, and the ones on the North Fork took out a camp, but that camp was proactive in evacuations and nobody lost their life in the other camp. So like two completely different circumstances, or two completely different results from very similar circumstances in the flooding of the South Fork and the North Fork.
The Red Cross is involved, but let me say this. I used to be a Red Cross volunteer for 15 years for every hurricane on the coast between Florida and Texas, from Katrina to Harvey. Red Cross does a great job, but it's very limited. And for example, disabled people, it takes a long time to get their wheelchairs replaced. We have purchased multiple wheelchairs, and we've replaced some. We're going to replace some more. I've got more coming up. Walkers and things like that. I'm disability focused person, so that's where my focus is. But the Red Cross is here. In fact, we have a huge chapter here, so that's a good thing. But a lot of these people, now that all the volunteers have gone, most of the big
most of the outside volunteers.
Yeah. And so now it's the biggest thing is I'm paying someone's electric, helping them do all kinds of things. I just can't give you what really needs because it's so vast. The needs here are so vast. I don't know how to even describe it. They're still mucking. They're still going into homes. Thank you so much. They're still going into people's homes and cleaning out dried up mud because they didn't have enough people to go through. When you were at my friend's home, you want to talk a little bit about what you saw there in that hotel, that resort?
I didn't really get a good look at the resort, but I remember looking at that resort on Google Maps. Thank you, Pammy. Thank you, Pammy. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you so much. Give you an idea of distance. So you have the river, and then you have on the river is a 2-story, very long gated hotel looking. Well, actually, they're individual condos, and people rent them out. Some people live there. And then I'd say 3 football fields, maybe 4 from the edge of the river to my friend's house. The river is here. My friend's house is up here. And that water went through that resort into the road and into my friend's house. One of the houses is lower down, and it was 7-8 feet of water in that house. The house that was built up a little bit had up to 2 to 3 feet of water. But the problem now is mold. The problem is cleaning up and getting everything done. But I have been to that house many, many times. I've spent the night at her guest house, and I could not fathom that water raging through there and being that high.
No, well, I remember looking at that resort on Google Earth when I was first looking at these floods and looking at it on the floodplain, and that is in the floodplain, solidly in the floodplain. So that has to go back. That has to predate our current flood maps.
Mm-hmm.
Like the old original part of Camp Mystic.
I'm going to pop up these images because I want you to see what we're talking about here. Let me share. There we go. It's a beautiful little place. I love it. I enjoyed it. I've spent many times. So as you can see over here, can I embiggen this?
And you're going to see a lot of steep stone banks along the Guadalupe River.
Here we go. This is what I want to talk about. This here, there's your banks right there. That's a lot. But there's a lot of, like you said, it's almost like someone just chopped the hill off and then there's the river. Part of the problem is that flood water had nowhere to go. One side on Camp Mystic is a solid cliff, probably 100 feet up at least. And then the rest, that's why the water flooded the way it did, because sometimes on one side or the other side of the river, you got cliff. There's nowhere for it to go.
And that smooth stone on the one side is just like a chute for that floodwater, for the flash floodwater, just to go flying through there.
Here's a good picture, and there's my friend's house. Okay, can I embiggen this somehow?
Embiggen it?
Embiggen it?
I learned a new one. I learned something new in Texas every day.
Embiggen it. Okay. This looks flat, but this isn't. This is a pretty substantial slope. And this is a dam. My friend's house is right here. These two right here at the very top. Why can I not make this better? It's not going to make it better. Wait a minute. Ah! There we go. We can do it that way. This right here is my friend's house. There's two houses. There's a main house and a guest house. That water had to come up from the river. Let me come down a little, just to give you an idea. This is a dam, right? But the water rose from this lower portion here all the way up the slope through the hotel, through the bottom floor of the hotel. It blew walls out. You saw some of the walls where you could see through. And then went into the courts, across the highway, and into their home. That's massive.
Yeah, and on the videos that I took today, you're going to see that there is a lot of demolition and cleanup still going on all of these properties along the river. I mean, there's just, it requires a ton of manpower, and there are volunteer groups that are helping, but there's just so much more that is going to have to be done.
It is, yeah, people just have no idea. It's going to take easily 6 months to a year for them to recover. Let's see if we can find a picture after the flood. Let me go to images. It's really, oh, here we go. Here's the images. Let me get these up. Nope, not what I want. Here, I'll just share this. We'll just come over here. Okay, see how nice that was? I didn't have to play around. I'm teaching him a few tricks. So these are some of the images from KSAT 12 that show the floodwaters had come through the actual restaurant. And this here is the debris. This is what we're talking about.
Oh, June.
Oh, June! Thank you, June. Thank you, babe. Thank you, honey. This is the only way that we know to help people, is to provide money to help them pay for things, because their insurance, none of these people had flood insurance across the street.
They couldn't get it because they were in the flood zone.
And so everything is gone. I mean, they gutted her house. She's 80. I think he's 88 and she's 84. Their entire life memories are gone. Everything is gone. Everything was in the yard. What we saw in the yard was all that was salvageable. But this is a good ending. This is good pictures of the flood. And this is the Hunt store. You got to see the Hunt store, but it was all cleaned up. By the way, oh, that's a good picture, actually. Look at that bridge. And that's a low-lying bridge. It's not as high as the others. So anyway, one of the things that we were blessed to have was a gentleman who, there's a company who has been faithfully providing gas to all of the first responders, and wanted to give a shout out to the company because they're fabulous. I'm gonna throw them up. Deborah, thank you so much. Okay, here's a Moffitt Services oil. What did he say? Wouldn't it burn it? I think he said.
I don't remember the town he said they're from.
I don't know why I keep saying burn it. Anyway, this company was absolutely amazing. They have provided 50,000 gallons of gas and 50,000 gallons of diesel to the first responders. So those of us who are going out there and cleaning and working every day, all of their, like the skid steers, all of the equipment, they've been providing gas for them. So I just wanted to give a shout out. I have been a beneficiary of some of that. So it's simply, it was just amazing. Whew.
50,000 gallons they donated.
How much is that if it's, say, $2.75 a gallon?
Say 3. That'd be $150,000. 50,000 times 3, yeah, $150,000.
Each. Because 150 of diesel, 150,000 of regular gasoline. Yeah. Wonderful company. So anyway, thank you so much for the super sticker. You're awesome. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I don't think you put June's up there.
I did.
Did you?
I'll put it up again.
I missed it.
I'll put it up again. These are for the chairs that are still. Thank you so much. Yes. And what people don't realize is that wheelchairs take months to get custom made. And most of these people, some of them are electric, some of them are manual. And they're thousands and thousands. My manual wheelchair alone, and it's not that fancy, was $7,000. I saw that head nod. Yeah, $7,000. So I can't afford that, but there's some people who had chairs that don't have any more, and they are in need. So what I've done is I've gone to Walmart and I bought the transport chairs. At least they can get them around. At least they can be wheeled around. They can get some mobility back, and that's important while they're waiting for their chairs to be replaced by the insurances. So, wow. So let's talk about our little excursion.
Oh, our adventure. So you were telling me that you weren't sure that this area that's along the banks of the river, that would be the north bank of the river. And on what part of town is that? Would you call that the east part of town?
Yeah.
So there are caves along there, and these caves are actually used were being used by homeless people like on a regular basis for years and years and years, right?
Yeah. Some of them, I do know that I know there were 7 for sure that were big enough to where one person could lay completely flat, light a little fire, have a little place where they would actually get 100% out of the weather. There were several of them that you could put 2 people in, and the others, I do know there's one that 5 people could fit in, and it was pretty deep. And that was that one last one that we saw. I do remember that, and I'll let you go from there.
So we went for a little walk along the bank. Well, you weren't sure that those had been checked. So we went to go check.
Well, we smelled something interesting when we were standing above them.
Yes. I'm not going to say that it smelled like human decomposition.
It was just decomp.
Yeah. It didn't smell like that to me, but there's just, and it's right by a dam area also. So, you don't know what's like churning up there. The dam area is a fish that's coming from that. So we just went to go check out.
I said, hey, you want to go look? And you're like, yeah.
Right. I'm down.
I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to get through because the debris, when we're standing, and I've taken pictures. I took one picture of you at Camp Mystic. He was brave enough to go down the side of the road and he could see how high the debris is. But the debris there was probably 20 feet above us easily. When we were over at the caves.
Yeah, easily
20 feet above us. And so anyway, we we filmed it. I got it on video, but I got to figure out how to show it to you.
She had her GoPro going and we walked along.
Wait a minute.
Oh.
Wait a minute. That's the drive. There we go.
There you go.
Let's see if I can share. And then the rains came. So this is the dam. And okay, this is the dam, and that's a water filtration plant. I will tell you, I know that they found deceased people here. In fact, I took one of the dog teams before your sister came. They didn't know how to get there. You have seen pictures where someone has made wooden crosses and they're lining the river. That is exactly, you can actually see one of the crosses right here. Let me see if I can back up the video a little bit. You can see the top of the cross. Now I'm wearing this GoPro on my chest. So we're going to have some odd angles and you're going to hear us talking. There's the crosses. So let's see if I can just skim. So the path was not visible anymore.
The path that the homeless people
I'll need to turn
would use to go to their cave.
the path that they used to get through the caves was not there anymore, but we were able to, man, that was a hike.
A little bit.
Little bit. I'm proud of you. Proud of me.
Yeah.
No, I do know that they came up. I do know that they came up. They came up by boat, and they did investigate. They did tag a place where the water was, but they came up by boat. Hold on. I got to answer this. Deborah, there are wheelchairs. We do have thrift stores. They don't have wheelchairs. We do have other organizations, but they're gone. There's so many, and you were
You
surprised.
paused right on my butt.
Huh?
You paused right on my butt.
Oh, good shot. Okay. So what happens is that this population, we went and had lunch and he looked at me and said, "Is this a good representation of your population?" And why did you ask that?
Because it was mostly elderly people.
65% of our population or more is over the age of 65. So wheelchairs in this neck of the woods, honey, yeah. You can't find good used wheelchairs here because there are too many people using them. Just saying. But I have looked. And I've left my number for me to be called. Way over there. I'm going to skip through some of this talking stuff and get to, but look. Oh, well.
That's the normal water level.
Yeah. I'll go back over here. And I'm going to pause. The water, look at that's debris up there in that tree. And that's at least 30 feet, 20 feet above water level. That's debris. I mean, it's everywhere. All these trees laying down. The water got up to this road right there. See, look up there. And this is normal water. That's a good place to, well, maybe not. Okay, this is the normal water level that you're seeing. Oh, I got to get that off. My bad. I got it. Yes, I did, y'all. It was a deaf man, and he's so sweet, but he would stay up there, especially in winter. I'd come.
Now I want to go back with that headlamp and I want to look in that cave.
I don't know if we should attempt this again.
Not after all the rain.
No.
Not anytime soon.
No. So, by the way, I'm going to show you this. This is all eroded. This right here, you see where it goes in. You see that tree root right there. That wasn't like that when I came through. It was more of a straight line like this, and we're starting to see the wearing right there. That little dark spot. We're good, close. Allergies. So this right here is gone. All of this is washed away. This wasn't.
We can tell that's a different type of stone than the regular limestone that is most of the banks. This is like a looser.
It's like a packed gravel.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's very compacted gravel. Now, you see this hole here, this goes through. All of this has been washed away. This is new. There was a geocache over that you had to climb through to get there. I'm gonna speed us up and get it.
Sure.
Now there's some limestone. There's not. No, that's not right there. Y'all, this was steep. There we go. There's. I want to get us to where we found something, y'all. All right, here we go. He found something. He's like, whoa. It's funny now, but if it's alive and you come up on it, I didn't want it jumping out and having a Ferris Bueller's Day Off moment.
Well, it's one of those situations where the cave was really, really dark, and it was back about a foot from the entrance, and I had to get up really close, and it was still dark enough that my eyes took a minute for me to realize that I was looking at an animal in there. But it didn't move at all the whole time. I got a little bit closer and a little bit back and a little bit closer and a little bit back.
I'm looking for the question about the crosses. Can you post it again? Because his chat and my chat are running and I don't, oh, wait. No, that is not where the souls were found. This guy bought a bunch of wood, fence platting. And he was making crosses and he put one up for every one of the girls that had been found. As they're finding the girls, he's putting these crosses up. Now he's putting them up. The big ones are for the adults. They had little ones for the girls. Quite touching if it's not pouring down rain and drops of rain like this. I mean, we were soaked within 5 minutes? Mm-hmm. We were soaked. I'm like, all right, I'm coming. I almost said, nah, you deal with it.
Well, I would have gone all the way in there for it to see if it was alive or not.
If it was alive, we would, yeah. Actually, I have a walking pole and I have rope and I know how to make a, we would have done that. I couldn't, I was too far behind him. But I did get closer. So it was in this hole right here.
Yeah, so it was a wildcat of some kind. I don't know if it was a
mountain. Well, it could be
a baby mountain lion
or lynx. Wild, we call them wildcats, bobcat, something like that.
Maybe a bobcat.
Maybe a bobcat. They all kind of look very similar.
But the paws were huge. The left paw was huge.
And they could have gotten in there trying to get away.
And I'm sitting there trying to decide, am I going to get closer? Am I going to get closer? And you said,
yeah, let's not. I didn't feel like playing first responder considering my med bag is now above us and I couldn't get there quick enough. And I'm thinking, how in the heck am I going to have to explain this to my incident commanders and the fire department who know me very well, that I took some Joe Blow from out of state, or Joe, well, I was being facetious, Joe Schmo from out of state, and they're going to go, what in the hell were you doing down there? Oh, I was looking for people.
I was checking out a wildcat in the cave.
Hi, Debbie. Everybody, thank you for joining. I can't say hi to everybody.
I got a couple of blurry pictures, and I'll share them on my live when I do my live.
I hope we can see it.
Barely. They're kind of like ghost pictures. You can just make out the outline like I could.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, let's not disturb it. We'll just let nature take its course. Now this is washed away, but this is more of what I'm used to finding. Now this one was one of the ones that you could put 3 to 5 people in, but you could see how the front's washed away. And one of the ones, and we were talking about this, one of the rescuers that were out in the boats, they were looking, see how white and pristine that looks? That's fresh wear. It's usually more like this brown, darker with flecks of black and gray and brown and all of that. And so, but this used to be, I would say at least another 1.5 to 2 feet deeper, at least, if not more. Yeah, that water, if someone was there, it would have just,
Yeah.
a hot water heater down there from somebody's home. I'm sorry for my breathing, y'all. Oh, Joe will melt in the rain. Oh my gosh, he can't handle the rain. Oh, that's a good pause. Here's all right, but his didn't work.
No.
Darn it.
I
Okay,
didn't push the
actually,
right buttons.
see, this was actually a little more older. You can, well, this is, come on, never mind. But that gray is older. The white is more new.
Is that lightning strike we heard before this? Because that was like 2 miles away, right?
Yeah, it was lightning went boom. You have to see how dangerous this is. I'm backing down and holding on to roots. They did. They had little grapes. That's a grapevine. Look at the grapes.
I used to eat green grapes when I was a little kid.
You used to eat what?
Green grapes.
Yep. I want to show you something. I'm impressed with myself. All right. Do you see how gray this is? This is a good example of the before and after. That is what all that rock would look like, or that earth would look like where the caves were. You see the vast difference in the coloring. And see how low that river is? How far down do you think that is? About 15?
Yep.
I'm not very good. I'm better in yards. No. I can follow, mods. You heard me. I can follow.
We need audio. I hear audio.
Some people. But look at the slope. I mean, you look at it. This is not easy terrain. See, that's another cave. See the darker. That was it.
Yeah.
That was the lightning that you heard.
Right at the very end.
But this is the rain when we got out of there. And that was only 5 minutes later. Look at the rain. So this is one of the makeshift memorials that just popped up. I'm not going to show all of it, but look at that memorial. And all of these back in the back are little ones. These are big. They had little ones.
Some people are saying they can't hear the audio.
They cannot or they can?
Can't.
No sound. Really, there's nothing but us chattering and then the rain. So there's no audio that really, we're telling you pretty much what we were
Yeah.
talking about there. So it's okay. You're not missing anything. You're not missing anything. But this dam here, just so you know, this dam here, a full three bedroom, 2-bath house floated over this, and it didn't go down. It came straight across. Look at the trees. Right here is the debris field, right where that is. That dam is what, 20 feet at least, and then another 10. So that's 30 feet. And where these crosses are put up was underwater. Yeah, I don't care about the rain. Let me see what else I got here. Oh, here's some of the video. Is this the one that curved? No. And you can see how high the trees, all of these trees are stripped. Yeah, that was one of them. This is coming out of Hunt. We just came out of Hunt. I don't want to play all the videos because I went, oh, look, there's the rest of that other one.
Right after the lightning strike.
Right after the lightning
Maybe that's
strike.
what messed up your GoPro.
Huh?
Remember when your GoPro said
That may have been it.
in
Yeah.
overheat mode?
But see, that's really, it's steep. I'm sorry, I'm bossing him around, being the mother hen that I am. But anyway, it was pretty steep. Oh, okay, let's talk about this.
That's the high water mark that somebody came through and marked because of the discoloration on the stone.
So that right there is a high water mark.
And that's about what, even with the top of my head where I'm standing, probably?
Yeah. And the other thing is that understand that the watermark wasn't straight because the street is not a level street. So it actually goes like this. So that was the lower part of the high water mark. That was the lower part. So it was probably another 8 feet, I think, when we got over to those caves. What do you think?
Yeah.
Let me get it back over to that. That's easier. Yeah. So we're talking about the watermark. Well, when you look at the debris and the trees, it was higher than that. Oh, somebody had a DVD player. We found a thing of DVDs for a movie or a series of some kind. I'm surprised that wall is still there, honestly.
Yeah.
By the way, do you know where that wall came from? When the settlers first came into Kerrville, they actually had created a cypress mill, and they made shingles for houses and roofing for the houses and stuff. And so cypress, the trees that you're seeing, take 100 years to get to where they are today, the big ones. And it's a very beautiful wood. And so when the settlers came into Kerrville, that was one of the things. And this was part of the wall for the mill.
Okay.
So, well, this is a good indication of the steepness of our climb. We really did steep it, man. Look at the debris above our heads. Look at all that. So anyway, guys, what one thing, what is there anything that kind of shocked you or surprised you didn't think you would see? Or you were pretty prepared, I guess, for all the videos and everything beforehand?
Yeah.
I was surprised at how much cleanup actually, I mean, because in all honesty, what he has on camera is probably 30% left of the debris. They have cleaned about 70% of that debris, at least on the roadside of everything. The non-roadside still had a lot more. So that was to me.
I think one of the things that stands out to me, though, is that, remember the LA wildfires back in, what was it, February or January? Back in January. FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineers came in there right away and the Army Corps of Engineers were the ones that were responsible. If you allowed them on your property and inside the consent to go on your property and do the debris separation and separate the hazardous material from the non-hazardous material and then begin cleaning it out. So I'm curious if they did the same thing here and tried to do the same thing and people don't trust the federal government
There you go.
because this is Texas.
Not just because it's Texas. Don't make me get my can of whoop ass out on that one. I think part of the problem is that there have been, we're not in, when we have hurricanes here, Kerrville, it's just on that upper cusp, but we get a lot of rain and some flooding. But a lot of Texans don't trust FEMA and the engineers because we've had a lot of hurricanes and they've been done badly. And those stories have gotten around, or their family members who know somebody who knows somebody. So I think in some sense of the word, there is a little bit of the distrust is warranted. Not always, but
A little bit of a history there.
there is a little bit of a history.
Okay.
Part of the other problem that concerns me as we were talking about is that the rivers, I couldn't believe somebody was swimming in the river. We saw people with kids.
Gosh.
They put the kids in the freaking river. And I'm all like, do you know how many poisons and oils and biochemicals or all that stuff is in the water right now? I mean, I don't even think we have fish. And if they are, they're poisoned. I mean, there are vehicles still underwater. Oh, that's right. They had, we were talking about it. The riverbed in a lot of places is now elevated. And in some places, 15 feet higher. We know this because rescuers found an RV just by a little piece of it poking up out of the riverbed, and they dug down and got it out. And then when they removed it, and that was a good 10 feet, they removed it and found a vehicle underneath the RV. It's just insane. People just don't understand there's not just the loss of life. It's not just the changing of a river. It's our whole, what is that called? The nature, all of the environmental ramifications that we're going to be dealing with for quite some time. I don't think they are going to ever recover everybody. And I don't believe that the numbers are correct. I do know that we have about 10 homeless people that we have not seen since the flood that were here when the flood happened. And it breaks my heart to think that they're probably gone.
And nobody to report them missing.
Nobody to report them missing. Insurance companies, we've had a lot of problems because of the fires. The insurance, they canceled people. People were getting canceled on their insurances. And a lot of people said the flood, you know what? We're going bankrupt. Nothing we can do. We can't pay for everything. I know these are like 3 and 4 and 5-year-old. They were kind of little. I was like, what? Yeah.
Yeah, and State Farm stopped issuing policies, fire insurance policies in California.
Yeah.
Just period. Just we're not going to issue anymore.
And the sad thing is that people say we're not, that people like me or just the everyday person in Kerrville is not affected. Oh, we are. They're upping our taxes out the butt because they're not going to get the money promised by the government quick enough. They have to, and then on top of that, all of our insurances are going to go through the roof. So it's going to affect us financially huge in the next couple of years for sure. I did drive you down towards Centerpoint. We did get to see some of that.
Unfortunately, didn't get to see the fire department. They had that blocked off.
I could have pushed through, but then they may not have been happy with me, and I need to keep my communications open with them on that one. But I will tell you that one of the things is that I've been in a lot of first response. I've also been in a lot of disasters, and I've gone into Katrina. I was part of that. I was in the 9th Ward in Katrina. I was part of rescuing disabled people in Katrina. I flew in one of the big helicopters. I was on an airboat. I mean, I've done it. But I have to say, the way our community pulled together was astonishing, and the way the help came in. But we didn't have all the looting. We didn't have the stores being broken into. We didn't have a lot of the drama and the problems that can come with this kind of disaster. So that was a huge relief to us. But we still have a massive presence of legal state troopers. We've got fire departments as far away as California and Florida and from Mexico. We still got a lot of that here. Oh, yeah, it's horrible. Oh, definitely. We both will be keeping you updated. But I think we're going to wrap this up here in a minute because I have one more place to take them. And I prefer to go at night when there's not a lot of people and it's cool. But we're going to go. You've seen that flower wall. We're going to go do that. I haven't been yet. I drive by it, but I've not stopped and paid my respects. I love your experience. That's why well, thank you so much. Appreciate that. I do have a lot of weird experiences. I know. I saw it. I got the alert. It's so horrible. So what do you want to say to wrap up your trip here? What do you
Well, first of all, thank you for hosting me. I appreciate that.
He didn't have a choice. I demanded it. I tempted him with some good seafood.
That was good seafood. That was good. And tell everybody about that restaurant. That was a nice restaurant, a very nice restaurant.
Wahoo's is a restaurant that it wasn't a restaurant. He was a fishmonger, and he had a little bitty little place, and the owner sold it so we could build the new big HEB. And he decided to open up a restaurant. It's a little hole in the wall seafood restaurant. But he gets all of his seafood from the coast. He goes down there himself a couple of times a week and picks it up and picks it out, or I don't know if he may have somebody doing it for him now, but he does. It's wonderful seafood. I hate seafood. I hated seafood before I started eating here. My son forced me to go and I fell in love. But then they built a brand new restaurant. They bought a restaurant that's on the river. Now, there is a restaurant, and a road that's a bridge across the river. The lake house is another seafood, but it's more of a heavy fried, more of like your grandma makes, type cooking. And it sits lower. Wahoo's is built up on, I guess, platformed, like a better word. Luckily, the river didn't get in the restaurant, but it did get in the back where all the patio tables are going to have a band out there. They have been trying to open that thing up for like 8 months. And the condition of that restaurant when they bought the building, it was another seafood place that shut down and should have shut down years ago. It was gross. They had to gut it. And they just literally remodeled from head to toe. And we're going to open up on the 4th of July weekend for the grand opening. And guess what happened? No bueno, it didn't happen. But luckily, the inside of the restaurant was fine, and it's a real classy place.
Yeah. Yeah, and reasonably priced for as good as the food was and fresh as the food was and as good as the service was and playing jazz music in the background. It was a nice restaurant. Thank you for that. I appreciate that very much.
Oh, you're welcome. I know a lot of people love oyster. Was it oysters on the half shell? Is that what they call it?
I had fried oysters.
But that's the raw oysters.
Oh, yeah, they do have oysters.
They have an oyster bar that they've built, so it's very clean and sanitary, and you can go and get. But he had the fried oysters and catfish. You said the catfish was fabulous.
Yeah, cooked perfectly. Absolutely perfectly. Seasoned perfectly, cooked perfectly. And I wasn't doing raw oysters today. Not in the middle of a road trip. No.
I saw that think process going. Well, and the other thing is that I don't like grits. I like my grandma's grits, but I've never liked anybody else's. And they have shrimp and grip cakes. They're like almost like crab cakes, but made with shrimp and grits. I want to call it shrits. And the sauce on that was just divine. Love it. Love it. Love it. I've probably eaten there 4 or 5 times since they opened, and they have only been open for a few weeks. But anyway,
everybody stay tuned to our channels for updates on the recovery process. It's going to be a long recovery process. The state government they had a hearing on Thursday that Ada and I both need to review and go over.
Maybe we ought to do a live on that again. Just that.
Yeah. It's 5 hours long, and we're not doing a 5 hour long on state government proceedings, but maybe we can pick out some parts of it that resonate with us, because we both have 2 different viewpoints, me on the outside looking in and her on the inside looking out. So
Oh, it got nasty.
yeah, there were parts of it that did, and there were parts of it that were just glad handing. Like one of the politicians doing politicians speak, he was trying to ask a tough question of the guy who was being questioned. But then he goes, well, I don't want to say that if a warning system had been in place that lives would have been saved. Other people are willing to say that now, but he wasn't willing to. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic, and that's politics for you. That's the way that politics work. I think there were some tough questions asked and that we need to review. But anyway, stay tuned to both of our channels for updates. And thank you all for being here.
I'm going to go through, I always at the end of chat like to go through all those who have donated, but I will say this. Yes, I believe that if the flood system's in place, there could be some people who would have lived. Don't doubt that. But when you see and understand the pressure, the amount of water, the speed of water, and it was not like it just rose. It was a wall of water that came barreling through there. No one could have outrun it. You couldn't have driven it. And that road that we drove is a one-way in, one-way out, and it's at the lowest part, right on the river's edge. And all that was underwater. So a lot of people, I think, would have been possibly trapped and made worse
If they had evacuated
if they had evacuated through the road.
100%.
I think that there's no evacuation routes that go up, so everybody would have had time to climb up on roofs to maybe get to higher ground by height or whatever means necessary. But in reality, this would have been devastating even with the warning system. I don't think the warning system would have saved everybody. People would have died, and it's horrible. And so one thing I'm going to say is when you travel and you get to where you're going, turn your phone off, then turn it back on, because that way it pings and the weather warning systems will pick you up. That was one of the problems. And also let people know where you are. So if something happens, people know you're there. It's fun to go off and run off and do things by yourself, but let somebody in your family know. Joe Schmo, thank you so much for your.
I went from 83rd to 38th, like in.
He just inverted the numbers. But I'm top 10.
You are. You're top 10.
Libby, thank you so much. Frank Leroy, thank you. Thank you, Pammy. Thank you, Denise. Lucas, thank you. June, oh, love you, boo. And Deborah, thank you so much for your super stickers and chats. And I want to thank all of Joe's viewers and everybody. Thank you for your loving and your subscribing and your support. And I also want to thank all my people. Please go to Joe Schmo and support him and subscribe to him. He's growing and we both are growing together. And so anyway, I'm going to just say thank you, Joe, for your support, for your covering this and getting it out there. This is devastation beyond what I have ever could comprehend. And thank you for spending time with me and putting up with me. But I feed you good.
Mm-hmm. Can't complain.
Okay, guys, everybody, y'all have a nice evening. Thank you so much for joining. Keep an eye out for Joe. He's going to come on and do some more videos. I'm not going to do a deep dive in this, guys, because honestly, I can't emotionally handle it. I'm too close right now. I'm just way too close. I shed a few tears with Joe in the car. He was real nice. He was very understanding. But hopefully he and I will be visiting on his channel some more about this.
Well, Krisha came in. She's been watching and listening.
Where?
Down at the bottom, difficult research.
Where is that her?
Yep, that's Krisha.
Hi, Krisha. How are you? Oh, well, you didn't have to wait till the end to say something, darling. I was going to get my Texas accent on, just wait till I get the Tennessee with it.
And I know Living Life with FND too. She's a Hoosier gal.
Oh, welcome. Welcome. But anyway, thank you so much for joining. Hopefully I will see some of you on my live and hope my people will go to his lives and we just support each other. In the meantime, hug your family. Tell people you love them. Don't go to bed with anger. Don't go to bed frustrated with anybody because you never know what tomorrow holds. Just love on each other. All right. In the meantime, y'all have a fabulous evening. Thank you from Kerrville, Texas. And Joe Smo, thanks again.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. I hope you have an awesome day. Till next time, take care.